Good morning. This is Saturday, the what is the 4th? Yeah, the 4th. Um, what is the 10th day of Christmas today? Yeah, Saturday the 4th, 2020. Um, so I'm gonna go over to a game group. I don't know, about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Uh, so I have some time. My wife's at work. She had to work this weekend, so we're all good. I wanted to um, felt like talking. So, why are we looking at risk? Well, we're looking at risk because this is the game that got me into wargaming. It's almost embarrassing in that way that there are some people that have really great stories of what their first experience in wargame is. Um, the Dino Ware from the Solo Wargaming show and the designer of A Journey to the Overland, his story was, Barbarian Prince was his really first war game, and that really drove his experience in gaming for the rest of his time. Um, Mark Herman has the pretty cool story of Battle of the Bulls, the old Avalon Hill classic. You know, so a lot of those old grogs will tell you it was, one of those old Avalon Hill games, Blitzkrieg sometimes. For me, it's just a boring, vanilla sandbox game called Risk. But let me say it's an important game. When you're talking about the history of war games, Risk is not a new game. I mean, it was made in 1957 by filmmaker Albert Lamouris. I do believe the guy who did the movie Les Ballons Rouges. Les Ballons Rouges was a award-winning movie that I had one of my friends' moms used to watch. Had an old reel of it and used to watch, and I used to just not get the movie whatsoever. Think, why is that a good movie? But Albert Lamouris, he made Risk while on vacation in the Netherlands. While he was in the Netherlands, and it was called Les Conquêtes du Monde, the conquest of the world. And that was in 1957. So we're talking about, it's after Tactics, obviously. Tactics was 1954. Before Diplomacy. It wasn't Diplomacy 59, maybe 58. I'm probably going to do some on Diplomacy sometime. It's another game I enjoy. And then Parker Brothers, Miro Games, is who's the ones that produced it in France. Miro Games brings it to Parker Brothers and it's produced by Parker Brothers in 59, and it's called Risk. I believe it was the Continental game back then. A few years later, they changed it to the game of global domination, and that's what it has been. So, we know what it is. We know what Risk is about. It's undoubtedly, I don't have numbers, but it's undoubtedly, this is my thinking, it's undoubtedly the best-selling mass-market war game of all time. What could come close to it? Stratego, maybe. And it's wargamers have a love-hate relationship with this, because this is something that a lot of us were introduced to war games on. And I remember, I was playing chess before this, and I'm becoming a real good chess player. And in primary school, I was playing against a guy, I never forget his name, playing against the guy named James. He was excellent at chess and taught me a lot because I lost a lot to him. But he was the one that introduced me to this game, and you know, that led me down a road where I was just wanting to play some kind of a simulation. Now, Risk, what does it simulate? Not much. You know, it's that but it introduces you to ideas that are not just, it introduced me to ideas that weren't just abstract kind of ideas. You were actually taking over continents, taking over areas here. So, yeah, I mean, and we have a love-hate relationship with it, because when we tell people, you know, normies, for lack of better terms, that we like to play war games, people say, oh, you mean like Risk? We want to throw our hands up in the air. That shouldn't be, you know, people don't know. That's really not they're not really trying to get under our skin. If I ask that, maybe I'm trying to get under your skin, but we really ain't trying to get under their skin. But that just shows you the penetration into the pop culture, global pop culture, really Western pop culture, that is Risk. I mean, people know Risk, people understand Risk, people play Risk. It's not a bad game, is it? Like I said, you know, look, this version was from. Now, see, my original, the version I had. My first version, I remember James showed me the game. I had to have it, and I asked for it for Christmas, I believe. And so, yeah, my parents, look at that, look at that plastic. That's pretty cool plastic, actually. If I'd have had that instead of those little X's or whatever they were, I would have really been rocking this game. Yeah, see, here you go. Infantry. Yeah, it's loosely based on 6 players. A lot of people tell you it's better with 4 players. I'm telling you, I do believe it's the best with 6 players. I love that full game. A lot of fun. If everybody knows what they're doing, it doesn't take as long as people think. There's the cards. You know, you have some cards in there, if you remember turning in your cards for armies and whatnot. Very simple combat system. Attacker 3 die, defender 2. You know, if you have just one more piece than your opponent, your odds raise exponentially. So it does teach you, you know, to come out with the needing superior numbers, advantages in a very, there's the book. Rules aren't that difficult. There's the frequently asked. Wow, you know that was in there. FAQs. Yes. Frequently asked questions. Huh. I haven't had this out to dig this out. I haven't played it. You know, like I said, 1957, La Conquête del Monde, and then later you had it wasn't changed again until 1986, where you had Castle Risk, and you know, 2000 that was Risk l'édition Napoleon from in France. Which is a pretty big deal, but lately they've made a lot more. I think, you know, the Walking Dead Risk. I'll still play that. I still like that game. It's a fun game. Let's look at that. Let's get this out of the way, and let's look at the map. A little bit of the map, but they have fun. And some games just, you know, they call Risk, they aren't Risk. That Star Wars Risk, it came out in 2016. Not a bad little game, but it ain't Risk. It's something completely different than Risk. Wow, look at that. There's your Risk map. What is it? 42 or 46 regions, 6 continents. and you're just gonna beat each other silly there. Yeah, a lot of fun here. I remember back in the day, of course, there's really not. They came out with variations later for naval rules and stuff like that, but it's original game doesn't really have any kind of naval rules. You're just going after it. You're just crossing, a very abstract way. You have to leave someone behind to control that in that area, and you can keep pushing, which I always love that. And of course, I think other games do it better now. History of the World, if you played it, I thought that did it better. I thought that did a lot of things really good. But no, this is like I said, mass market wise, big war game. The one people most know, and it's it at least in part helped inspire games like Axis and Allies, and even from what I understand, Settlers of Catan, which so we can make fun of it or whatnot, but people know this is a war game. That's something that is in popular imagination. They get this game. And, it's in our pop culture. Remember the Seinfeld episode where they were playing Risk? Ukrainian guy gets mad and flips the board. But this was it. This was my introductory into war games. This led me on that road to never looking back. And let me tell you, without this, I think a lot of people wouldn't really understand what a war game is. While this is very simple, and while it's not, when we hear, oh, you mean Risk? Something like Risk, we just ball our fists and sometimes get that white knuckle and get upset. But people know it. People understand it. And it's something that is in the imagination of the popular culture, and that's Risk. And that's my first war game. No great story, but this did make me look into other games and play other games. And I haven't played the original version. I've played Risk Legacy. That was another one that came out, Risk Legacy, which was pretty good. But I haven't played the original version of Risk in quite some time. Don't know when I will. Maybe, I'll get my war game group to play it just so we can have a little fun, beer and pretzels type of a night. But it's a decent game. Yeah, I'm not one of the hipster snobs that's going to say, oh gosh, I hate Risk. I don't hate Risk. It's just it was my entry into war games. I can't hate it. But there's just a lot more games that do this a lot better, do what you can do here a lot better. But that's my story. But a very important game in war games as far as being a mass market game that everybody knows, practically everybody knows. All right, folks. Talk at you later. Bye-bye.